tonight via the group me and via email. So I'll talk about that under new business. And can we add that as an action item vote? So I'm going to need a vote of 2/3 to do that. I can't motion for my own. Yeah,
I just need to send out the link to post.
I'm looking to, what is it?
add an action item for a statement of proposal.
To add an action item for statement of sexual assault to be presented today.
Sorry, who's second? Okay, thank you. So Makika motions, Kalechi seconds. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Or wait, Jonathan, do you have a hand up or not? Okay. Okay. So 5, all against. Okay. 1, all abstaining. Okay. By a motion of 5 to 1 to 0, the motion passes, and this will be added to the agenda as an action item. Let's move on to.
Wait, I need to add an item.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I was adding stuff too, but no, go ahead. What's up? You're good.
I need to add a consent item for USAC allocations or space allocations for 2019, 2020 office spaces. And I can explain it more later.
Yeah.
Sure.
Jessica, do we need a vote to add a consent item vote to the agenda?
A consent vote.
Oh, a consent vote. Yeah, I guess you could just do it that way.
Okay, so let's just do a 2/3. Can somebody motion to add this to the agenda? Anybody?
Also, this affects your offices, just throwing that out there. If you want to keep your office, you better fucking vote.
Okay, anybody seconding? Oh, okay. We'll do Kalechi. So same motion, Kalechi seconds. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then all against? Okay, 1, all abstaining.
I'm taking the CSC office.
I'm taking it too.
Do it.
Okay, so that passes by motion of 5 to 0 to 1, or 5 to 1 to 0, sorry. And this is the USAC space allocation for 2019-2020 will be added to the agenda. Can I add a appointment, Armando Oleo to CRC as an action item vote just under appointments? Armando is somebody we already had on the agenda. In fact, I think we tabled it, but I'm just going to add it again just to make sure. So can I get a motion to add that to the agenda? The reason I'm doing this is because there's a retreat coming up and do not want our appointments to miss that retreat.
So I also striked my council thing.
Oh, your officer report, okay. Anybody want to see that? Oh, but can somebody get a second? Yeah. Please. Thank you, Kalechi. Thank you, Kalechi. Okay, so Kim motions, Kalechi seconds. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Kim, are you motioning? Okay, 5. Okay, 5. All against. Thanks, Jonathan. All abstaining. Okay, by motion of 5 to 1 to 0, the motion passes, and Armando Oleo's appointment as an action item vote is added to the agenda. Okay. I feel like I'm missing something. What am I? Don't tell me what I'm missing, Kim. Don't tell me what I'm missing. I'm gonna figure it out. I know I know.
I strike my officer report and FFS. We also put, SWC for everyone. For the whole summer. Yeah.
Jessica, are we going to, is Roy here to do the budget with us tonight?
No, he's not. He's at the board retreat, so it'll probably come up at your next meeting.
Okay, so I'm just not gonna add that actually, Kim, sorry about that, the confusion. Okay, any other amendments to the agenda? Do we have a minute taker?
We're recording, but we are hiring a minutes taker because Mandy will not be back for the fall, so. Yeah, we are hiring.
This is all being recorded though, so we're good. Okay, so with
But
that.
still send your reports to Mandy, because she'll still put them in. She just couldn't be here tonight.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'm supposed to do the agenda.
Oh,
I'm second.
Okay, Tara motions, Mahika seconds, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 6. By a motion of, or 6 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the agenda is approved for tonight. Okay, so we're gonna move right into public comment. So there is no public comment because nobody's here.
There
to
is,
give public
there is
comment.
no public.
Oh, wait, Jessica, there's nobody there too, right?
Yes, there's no public.
Okay, so there is no public comment, so if y'all will bear with me for 1 minute while I text Armando, to join, that would be awesome. Let's see. Okay, should be joining us. Thank you. Appreciate it. Sorry, y'all, one second.
It has some battery, right?
Hmm?
It's got battery, right?
Oh, no, it has to stay plugged in. Do you need another outlet?
No, I was just gonna move it.
Oh. I mean, it could probably be unplugged for like a second and then plug back in right away.
That's it, isn't it?
It doesn't have good battery life.
So wait, about like 5 seconds.
Okay, Armando said he's trying to download like a plugin. So let's just do officer reports until then. Oh, sorry, can we strike my off? I meant to say this. Can we strike? I'm gonna strike my officer report too. Not. Oh, wait, we have contingency. Oh, contingency. Okay, let's do contingency. Yeah, in the meantime. Sorry. It's usually below appointments, so I don't know why I keep missing it. Contingency, Nadia.
Yes, okay. Hi, everyone. So this week we got only one application. And it was from UCLA Community Camp. They requested $1,000 and the recommended allocation is $560,000.
Can I get a motion?
560.
Who seconded?
Who made the motion?
I second.
Can you repeat who motion?
Can they say names?
When you all motion and second, can you say your name? Or Robert, can you repeat the names?
Yeah, so Kim motioned,
Okay.
and then I think, Colette, or no, Mahika seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5, all against? All abstaining?
Tara?
Wait, is Tara frozen?
Okay.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, she's
Wait, wait, Tara, are you a yes then?
Yes.
Okay, so by motion of 6,
I do not agree.
wait, sorry, one sec.
So.
I'm so sorry, this is so funny.
Oh, people are moving now.
Wait, Tara, you're a yes?
Yes.
Okay, by a motion of 6 to 0 to 0, contingency is approved for this week.
Woo.
Okay, capital contingency. Is there any capital contingency this week, Nadia?
No, we did not receive any capital contingency allocation, application this week.
Sweet, thank you, Nadia, we appreciate you. Okay. Let's see, let me add Armando. Oh, hey. Hey Armando, how are you doing? Pretty good. Okay, so we're gonna move into your appointment. We're sorry in advance that this is kind of messy and if like people cut out and stuff. But essentially, I'm appointing you to campus retention committee, this week. We had you up 2 weeks ago, but because of a logistical error, we changed it to this week. Obviously, I wish Jimmy was here tonight to talk more about your application too. I reviewed it. You are one of the most experienced people to apply to CRC simply because you've already done work with CRC. You've already done work with retention projects on campus. So this was a pretty easy decision, I think, on my end, just because I know you too as a person. I saw the work you did in Jamie's office last year, and really have, I think, very little doubt that you will serve incredibly well this upcoming year. So with that in mind, ARC, or Kim, did you all get the chance to review Armando when he was appointed via Naomi? Okay, so it is an action item, just because we're gonna play it safe in case you all get stipended. With that in mind, is it okay with you, Kim, if we just move forward with no recommendation tonight, just so that if we do approve, they're able to go through the, retreat? Yeah, obviously, yeah, that sounds great, okay. So with that, Armando, if you just want to give like a 1 minute, like completely informal introduction about who you are, why you applied to CRC, that would be great. Then we'll move into like a 5 to 10 minute question and answer session, and then just a 1 minute closing, and then we'll move into a vote. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, here. Does he have a microphone?
Oh, I can hear it.
We can't hear from
I can hear you too, Armando, but Jessica, is there a problem on your end?
Yeah, we don't hear, we actually couldn't hear Kim either when she was talking. So I don't know, maybe you can get closer to your mic or something. I hear you fine, but
Okay.
for some reason it's not coming through, the audio in here.
Armando, you want to test it again and see if Jessica can hear? I can hear him.
Yeah, we
I
can.
can also hear him really clearly. I can hear.
Same.
Yeah, I can too. Maybe leave the hangout and you can,
You want me to leave
you
and
can
then
leave
come back?
the, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, wait. Armando, try again.
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah, we
No.
can hear.
Ooh.
Let me try to. Whoop. Sorry, testing the speakers. Um, Let me try to leave the hangout and then come back.
I see you're at a Starbucks.
I am.
Oh, yay, we can hear you now.
Awesome.
Sorry,
Yay.
technical
Yay.
difficulties.
Okay, go ahead, Armando.
All right. Well, hi everyone. So my name is Armando. I'm a rising senior. I'm a major in international development studies and Chicano studies with a minor in education. This past year, I was the FSC appointment as well as to the CRC, as well as I was also part of the Jamie's EDP office. So that was my introduction to USAC. However, my freshman year, I was part of the MedTech on Makeup Retention Project as an intern in their internship class, as well as continued through their faculty mentorship component. And I've always, since my freshman year, I've worked with the Student Retention Center as a study hall van driver and a basic needs grocery shuttle driver. And then, so I've been in the space since my freshman year, so working with the services. And then this past year, I had the privilege of vice chairing the campus retention committee. So sitting on the committee, it's a great privilege because you get to really focus on retention of historically marginalized communities. The three goals are to allocate, advocate, and evaluate the retention projects. So then that's just a little spiel about myself. I'm also involved in Justice Corps outside the campus, university rep for the program, and have worked multiple jobs along to here at UCLA.
Thank you, Armando. Okay, so we're going to move into question and answer. Just council members are just going to ask you questions, and then if you would be so kind just to answer them or seek clarification, that'd be awesome. So do we want to do this in a way where just if you want to ask a question, just type like a 1 in the chat and I can just go down that order? Is that like okay with everybody? Okay, then I'm just going to do that. So just like type like something and then like I'll just go in that order. So anybody wants? Okay, sure. Kim. Hey, Kim? Oh, you're muted, you're muted.
So what made you want to return to, the campus retention committee, and what is your vision for the next year?
Okay. Sorry, Kim kind of broke up, but if I heard correctly, you said reason to come back, and then what is my vision for this upcoming year with the campus retention committee? Awesome. Okay, so I want to come back this year because last year everybody on the committee was brand new. So the appointments as well as the retention coordinators were brand new. So it was a learning curve for all of us. So we had to adjust along the year and like really get to learn every single step. And by the end of the year, like it went by really fast. So now I know like the step necessary to get this going in the summer, which is when it should have kicked off last year, but we had like a couple hiccups along the way. So now my vision for this upcoming year is one of my main priorities that we discussed this past meeting at the campus retention committee was that we want to ensure, well, I want to ensure that we bring more focus into the advocacy part of the campus retention committee. So working in Jamie's office last year, we did a lot of advocacy externally, and I feel like the students that should have been forefront of that advocacy should have been students who are affected by the various conditions that many communities face. And I feel like who better than to share your experience if you feel comfortable with the students who are affected the most. So that's something that I would want to work with Joanna in this upcoming year to really ensure that advocacy is done by, if people feel comfortable by students of color, and allies, but as well as also bringing focus to the history of the retention project. So once you come into the committee, you get things going. So you have the proposals for the school year, and then you have evaluation. So I really want to ensure that we really take into account, like many of the appointments in upcoming years may not know the history of the retention projects. So I feel like something that we should do throughout the year is like really bring focus on the retention projects. Because at the beginning of the year, we are funding the project. So having a better understanding of the different communities as well. And I know that's something that the chair did this past year. So Jason Matthews, the chair of the campus spending committee, would bring professional development into the committee, as well as like community conditions. And that's something that I still want to instill this upcoming year and recommend to keep going. Because it's important to stay updated on the various conditions that things, because sometimes you may not be informed, and that space is a better place to talk and really form an advocacy task, like set tasks for that.
Thank you. Mahika.
Sorry, you basically started answering this already, but, in your time in CRC, especially last year, what do you think, was something that you saw wasn't done as well that you would want to improve on if you were to be appointed again for this upcoming year?
So if I were to be appointed this upcoming year, something that I noticed was that we didn't do a lot of advocacy. So really focus on that. The allocation and evaluation is done. Like it has to be done in the beginning of the year and towards the end and mid-year. But I feel like that's something that we were lacking on. But there are also subcommittees within the campus retention committee. So there's a basic needs committee that something that we instilled this year was like ensuring that future committees know that things that should be known. So we have a basic needs committee. We have a
So they can't vote till
program
he
committee,
comes back.
BRT. We also have an outreach committee, and I want to make sure that we are actually making progress within those subcommittees. So that's something that I want to focus on.
Anyone else got questions? Okay, if not, I have a question. What is your understanding of a student-led, student-run organization or like committee?
So something that is like written but not really emphasized within the retention project is that there's student initiative, student grant. So that's something that like is my understanding is that like these projects are created by students for students. So that's what my understanding is of the student initiative, student led. And like although they are like run by staff member who has had previous experience or knows about the conditions, students are doing most of the work. So students are peer counselors, students are administrative assistants, like students are really doing the work and the groundwork with counseling students and like ensuring that they retain themselves.
Oh, hey, Mahika, you have another question?
Yeah, so, we served as vice chairs on CRC. So I was wondering, what's something like just reflecting on your year, that you think that you could have done better as vice chair, and what do you think is something that you did well?
So, over the summer this past year, I took on the role of the acting chairperson for the summer. However, I feel like since everybody was brand new and like I was brand new as well, like we didn't have any like prior experience of like how to tackle things or like what needed to be done. So that's something that like if reappointed to the committee, I know like what to bring to the table. Like, hey, this is what was done last year, but I'm open to suggest like people are welcome to give suggestions on like what could be done or what is necessary to be done.
Awesome. Any other questions for Armando? Anybody? Okay, if anything last, oh, yes, Kim, go.
How would you make the campus retention committee a more collaborative space between, the detention coordinators as well as the USAC appointment?
Between me, the retention coordinator and me as an appointment.
Yes, or just like in general, everyone in the committee.
I think that's something that like I really focused on last year with the dynamic of the committee. So if you have a really great dynamic between the committee, you're easily able to like work and like joke around as well as get things done. And I feel like starting that early, kicking that off early, really sets the starting point for things. But I feel like a good committee looks like being able to collaborate in the sense of like also inviting the stakeholders. So students are an important role in this. So I know we have in our agenda, we run the same way as, sort of the same way as your undergraduate student association. So inviting students to like really come in and share, because like we're in open space. So students unless we go into like a closed hearing, like you all like, it's an open space for people to sit on. And that's something that like I want to focus on next year is like really transparency, so people have access to minute meetings, like you share like on your Facebook page or like, but we get also put that on our website. And that's something that as outreach, I will really want to focus on to continue next year.
Thank you, Armando. Before we keep going, Kim, Jessica had sent out the link to all of our all council email, the YouTube link. If you could share that on the Facebook page, just like copy and paste or whatever. But other than that, we're good. Other final questions for Armando? Oh, sweet, thank you, Kim. Other questions? Okay.
With the,
Oh, yeah.
sorry, with the subcommittees, how will you ensure the accountability that these subcommittees are doing their responsibility?
Great question. So something that the chair, and I'll give extreme credit to Deja, which was she created an accountability worksheet, but quarterly accountability worksheet. So create a tangible item for your subcommittee. So like really continuing that next year, like what have you created and this past meeting, I took on the role of really ensuring for this upcoming year that like students are able to reflect and really pass on that information to the next committee. So like students this committee will write what their role is as chair of that subcommittee and really reflect and what are additional projects that they would like to continue this upcoming year that they weren't able to finish this past year. So that it doesn't really go to waste like their 1 year, like the next chairperson of that committee wants to continue it, they're able to go off of that and hopefully improve their as well.
Other questions? Anybody?
Sorry, of course, sorry. Okay, sorry.
Are you good?
Yeah, sorry, the part went by.
Oh, no, you're fine. So I understand that at the end of the year, each project has to, basically hire their staff members. I guess what steps would you take in order to ensure that when it comes to the hiring process, or at least the creation of the questions, the retention projects are basically, what do you call it? They're part of the process.
My understanding, I know that it's a very tedious task. I know that the retention coordinators that on the retention committee have the role of also chairing their hiring committee for their upcoming year's staff. So I think like starting that early on, I know that even like creating a calendar for students, working with administration and like really working so that you have that information early on. So like to plan ahead, I really feel that planning ahead is very important for myself, and I don't know if the rest of the committee or like other students feel that it's important. So that's just my understanding of planning ahead, like really working and creating these deadlines or like guidelines so students are able to plan ahead.
Other questions? for Armando? Anybody? Okay, Armando, do you want to give us just like, it doesn't have to be 1 minute, but just like a max 1 minute closing, before we move into like a discussion and a vote?
Yeah, well, thank you for your time. I'm sorry that, my microphone and my video isn't working, but other than that, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out, like, about my experience on the committee this past year, or like any of the committee members. I know that, as an FSC appointment last year, I really worked on more than just sitting in the committee. So I will serve as professional service co-director, and I feel like the year went by so fast that I hope to be able to continue that for the coming year, given like the things that I learned. Yeah.
Sweet, thank you so much, Armando. If you don't mind, we're gonna ask that if you can leave after this, so we can do a vote, and then I'll notify you immediately after the vote, what the result of the vote was. But thank you so much again for, coming and talking to us tonight.
Definitely. Well, have a good night, everyone.
See you, Armando. Okay, awesome. Questions, comments, thoughts, motions, anything? Anybody?
Well, I was asking a lot of questions just because I wanted to ensure that he understands that the campus retention committee is not under the CPO. It is student-led, student-run by the different retention projects that, like, basically the mother organizations handle. So yeah, that's why I was just being like I was pressing hard on it.
Well, in terms of that, like when he answered that question, he said that even though they have full-time staff members, that means they're student run. I don't agree with that at all. Coming from like a place that does have student run, student initiated projects directly under them, full-time staff does not equal student run, student initiated projects.
Other thoughts, questions, comments? I will say, and sorry for the background noise right now, I also brought up this concern with him, actually right before this call, had a phone call with him, just about what he thinks student initiation and student initiated projects mean, and I think, dynamic that exists within CRC and SIOC, and I felt satisfied with the response that he gave, just that I think he takes a position of neutrality, but also acknowledges that that neutrality can sometimes be problematic, and that he wants to be more direct and is, I think, publicizing the fact that these projects are student run, student initiated, and are not necessarily run by CPO or led by CPO, but are simply just housed there. So I felt satisfied with when he gave me that answer before this interview. I think he definitely exceeds all the other applicants in terms of qualifications. But I definitely hear the concern about like that affiliation and all, or not even that affiliation, but just that standpoint on what like student initiated means and his role within that.
I had like the same concerns about him understanding like the same student initiated stuff, because I felt kind of wary the same way that Jonathan did, but I guess like the same way like Robert said, like his answers kind of like they were good enough, which I feel like they obviously would be because he wants his appointment. I think it's really contingent upon like you holding your appointment accountable, because like he is qualified and whatnot. So I think it's just like as long as you hold him accountable, otherwise.
Yeah.
Question, you have like some notes, like quarterly reports from your appointment?
Yes. So that's more so not a requirement, more so as something that like definitely past presidents have done and something that I want to do as well. Obviously, like I know Armando personally as well, and definitely like want to keep in touch with him and want to make sure Jimmy and Nicole are keeping in touch with him throughout the year as well. Because I do also share, like, I think the one thing that was not concerning to me, that was initially concerned with me was just like the standpoint on what student initiated means and how that will be viewed, within like a space like CRC and SIOC. But like really after talking to Armando, I do feel like he understands that and understands like his position on the committee, and really like wants to prioritize student initiated projects and emphasize like what that means and make sure that that distinction is clear. So that's why I like move forward with the appointment.
If he isn't approved, is there someone else you have in mind that you feel confidently about?
There are other people who have done work with retention projects that I don't know as well as, so I think the concern here was that I don't really know the other appointments. So, and based off like their applications and the interviews that Jimmy and Nicole had done with them, is we weren't able to tell enough yet. If like we felt confident enough to move forward, just like for full transparency, like I'm not gonna do the stuff that past people have done where like I hide who applied. Like one person we were looking at was Kim, I forgot her name right now.
It's Emily Long.
Yeah, she was somebody we were looking at too. Just because of her work with retention projects as well. That being said, like I know Armando and like have a lot of trust in him, which is why like I ultimately moved forward with him, because of that like relationship and trust that I developed with him.
I will also say he mentioned his like work in FSC as a staff member in FSC and who's quite close to the chief of staff of FSC last year. We weren't necessarily, I would say, impressed with his committee's work.
Thank you for letting us know about that, Jonathan.
I think, Robert, if
Yeah.
you didn't know him personally as well as you did, do you feel like he still would have been more impressive to you than the other candidates you were looking at?
I mean, just by nature of him serving on CRC already, like that kind of, like obviously inherently was like, oh, well, he's, I guess just objectively speaking, more qualified. That being said, like, obviously that's not the only thing that we consider in the sense that, you know, trust, what their like opinions are on like what student initiated means, what the relationships are to the MOs, who do get access to a lot of these resources. So yes, in that obviously his experience on CRC was outspoken to me. Otherwise, I feel like that was like the defining thing, was the experience. Was I think the other applicants who applied do not have like as direct of experience to CRC as he did.
Would it be possible to table this and bring forward another applicant?
So we couldn't table it, we would have to vote. Well, if this is something you all want to do, it would have to be like a vote against. The one concern I have, and Jessica, I still don't know the dates on this and try to figure them out, is when the CRC like retreat is. I have absolutely, I know it's soon, I just don't know when.
I don't happen to know the dates either, sorry.
Let me ask someone.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna be by the end of the month.
Typically beginning of July. Robert, Deb said it's usually at the beginning of July.
Oh, June 28th to 30th. So what is today? Sorry. Okay.
I mean, your next meeting is July 1st, so you're gonna miss it.
Yeah. So unless we were to call a special meeting or something like that, which like.
I'm just gonna
Sorry.
say that, yeah, I was gonna say that, like, I don't think the SWC CRC appointment is gonna be done. Well, it's not, because you have to approve, right, I have to approve it at this meeting. So the SWC appointment is not gonna be done either by the time they have retreat, and that happened last year too. So it's
Okay.
not, I can give you like a glimpse of what that looks like. Essentially, since the appointment wasn't made until the fall last year by George, George actually attended CRC meetings like throughout the summer. And I was planning on doing that until I made a suitable appointment as well. So the retreat is like something that's like preferred, but it's not like the end of the world. Like Roberto, who was SWC's appointment last year, was like he did his job, even though he wasn't appointed until September, October, like sometime around then. So obviously it's Robert's, like it's like not my appointment, but I'm just giving giving everyone some insight into like the retreat, and like it's not like the end of the world is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you, Monica, because I actually really forgot that George did that last year too. So it's not like BOD where you like absolutely have to attend in Belleville, but I mean, it's beneficial to be there, obviously. Yeah, like I brought up Armando because of his experience, because I do have like trust in him, but I understand that like that also might be coming, at least outside of the context of his like direct experience on CRC, that might be coming from like a place of like personally knowing him versus not necessarily developing like that level of trust with other people. So I understand that. That being said, like all I can say is basically that I do trust like the answers he gave me in that regard. And that like obviously it's up to your own discretion to appoint him or not. So the way this would work is you would still move forward with like a motion, like I motion to appoint Armando Aleo to CRC, and then just a yes or no vote, and then like majority yes, majority no. So do we want to talk about this more, or do we want to move into a motion? I think the last thing I'll say with this is that, like this, I think discussion we're having about like what student initiated means, and like if we have faith that like the people we're appointing like will be reliable in understanding that, etc., is something that if it's not Armando, whoever else it is, obviously, and I'm totally fine taking on this burden, like I'm going to definitely have to continue to develop a relationship with them to see if that like is in alignment with like what I think we as a council view that definition to be, if that makes sense, because I don't have that relationship with the other applicants. So I'm just saying that this same problem might exist with other people, or not the same problem, the same like shared concern. So I just want to keep that in mind too, like as we move forward. Anybody? Did we just lose quorum?
If there's,
We did lose one.
Tara's her internet just cut out.
Okay, we have to wait a minute anyways.
You're still second.
She said, I wasn't trying to discourage.
Nadia's the seventh. There's seven.
Oh.
Tara's back.
Hey Tara,
If there's no motion, does it die?
if you all don't want to discuss this any further, we can just move into a motion and a vote if that's what we would prefer.
I mean, I guess like what makes me like, not nervous, but like what makes me think about this a little more than like just the questions is like I know that you know him better, and like you like trust his abilities and things like that. And he is your appointment, but from like an application standpoint, from like a fairness standpoint, I feel like if there are other people who are qualified and have done work with CRC, like I'm obviously like you should have brought him forward, but like I don't think in the future it should be as based on like how much you know the person. That's just like my personal feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I want to clarify that he would have been brought up either way, just by basis of
Yeah,
experience.
no, and I trust that and I know that, but I just wanted to tell you that. Yeah, just in the way we talk about it, I don't think that, yeah.
Anybody?
Do we need to tell him that if there's no motion, it dies?
I could not make a motion, so.
Figure it out.
I don't know that he will.
I don't know.
Robert, if nobody makes a motion, then you just move on to the next item on the agenda and the appointment
Doesn't move forward.
doesn't move forward.
Okay, so it's just as if there's a no vote then.
I mean, it's not a vote, but yeah, you just,
Keep moving.
if nobody motions, then you just gotta keep going it forward in your agenda.
Okay, Lalo just messaged me too and said, it's not letting me join the hangout, but if I wanna say, I wanna add the importance of making an appointment before retreat because they vote for the chair and the vice chair at that like retreat. So he just messaged me that because I think he's listening, so that's something to keep in mind too. I don't like the idea of not motioning and not voting on this, like that's very atypical to do. I've never not done that before. So I think that we should motion and like either vote yes or vote no.
I motion to, what is it, to appoint Armando Lea for CRC. Hello? Is that the correct?
That's right, we're just waiting on a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? All against? 1, 2, 3. Okay, all abstaining. 1, 2. Okay, I'm getting my numbers messed.
Wait, hold on. You're lagging.
Wait, we're good. That's right.
Can you repeat it, like, from the start?
Okay. All in favor? 1, okay. All against? 1, 2, 3. All abstaining. Okay, 2. By motion of 1 to 3 to 2, the motion does not pass and Armando is not appointed to CRC. Okay, so we'll move on with that. I'll notify Armando, obviously, and then try to move it forward with an appointment this, next week. Okay, officer reports. CEC. Oh, is it? Okay, cool. Do we have any officer reports tonight that I'm trying not to miss? Okay, so we will move on from that then. Admin reps, Jessica, do you have anything for us?
No, I do not.
Okay.
I
Awesome.
turned the computer to Rob and Deb.
No report.
No report.
Sorry?
Rob and Dr. Geller are here too. They said they have no report.
Oh, okay, awesome. Let's move on to new business then. So the first thing, and I hope everybody has access to this, I tried sharing it like 100 times, is the joint USC UCLA resolution on sexual assault accountability on campus. So after my trip to the shared government or the PLS summit last week, we worked with GSA and USA on a resolution given the circumstances of everything that's been happening lately at both of our campuses with doctors being accused of sexual assault and then there not being, I think, full transparency surrounding that and moving forward and holding administration accountable to be transparent about that and to notify students, especially when it becomes a threat to their safety. So I shared that with everybody. Does everybody have access to it?
Yep.
Everybody else, do you all have access to it? Okay, so just for clarification, USC's undergraduate executive voted yes on this. USC's graduate executive voted, or like their student body voted yes on this. And our GSA, they can't vote on this because they don't have quorum until fall quarter week 3, but all of them individually have voted yes to support this as well. So I am going to move forward with this either way from my office, at least like the USAC Office of the President making a statement on this. But I wanted to make sure that like the opportunity was extended for us to vote on this to be an all council statement. So I think like what I want to emphasize with this is that the difference between a statement and a resolution is that there's not really a defined list of demands on this statement. It's more so just I think, a call to hold administration more accountable in the future, to be more transparent about these incidences that have occurred. And I did attach links, and so did USC to like specifically describe the instances that we're talking about. So does anybody and everybody want to talk about this, have questions about this? And have you all gotten a chance to read it? If not, definitely I would do that now.
I'm reading right now. I'm just wondering, like, why did we, is it like because it's like a intercollegiate thing that we made a statement, not a resolution? Or like, what's the reason behind that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the reason why was because when we were trying to formulate like a resolution, we had to come up with like specific lists of, for example, like demands or calls to action. And that was pretty difficult to do just given the fact that both of our universities, while these issues are incredibly similar, at both of our universities in the past like a year have faced incidences of like sexual assault by doctors or pediatricians or health workers in our schools. I think there's a unique set of circumstances at both schools that don't really allow us to get into the detail that like a resolution would require. Like for example, like let it be resolved that we demand X, Y, and Z when those X, Y's, and Z's might be different at each of our schools, even though we're facing similar problems. Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks. Sorry, I keep forgetting I'm muted.
No, you're good. Other questions about this?
In the last part, it
think it just
says
says it's
we'll work with
Right,
relevant
but
parties
still,
to better
innocent
ensure
till
safety of
proven guilty.
students, et cetera. So, what are like some relevant parties that like you thought of? Obviously GSA, but like other than them.
Well, it's really, I think, administration, just in the sense that both of our schools, and this is really interesting to note in the articles we attached to, it's like both of the schools, I think, retroactively came out and were transparent about the investigation and the accusations, which like obviously is a huge problem for the safety of students in the sense that it's up to and this is also noted in the articles, it's up to the discretion of the schools when they release information about if a professor or anybody like under university policy is, if their investigation is public or not, or if a professor is being investigated, for example, or if a health worker is being investigated for like such an incident, then it's not like swept under the rug until like after the fact. So I think like a big thing moving forward that I want to do, and definitely something that like I'm definitely planning on bringing up in our meetings with the chancellor and other admin, is like talking about this process and how we can go about ensuring privacy in these investigations, but then also ensuring that like students are aware if, for example, a doctor is accused of something by multiple individuals and they're just not telling anyone until after the fact. So that's definitely something and I think like Kim, your office, and obviously Makika, your office too, should definitely maybe like be leaders in that regard, of like starting that dialogue and having that dialogue.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm like asking about all this stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
Other things, questions? Oh, Jeff, yeah.
I noticed that it references the deplorable actions of these three individuals. Have there been findings against all three, or are any of them still in the accusation stage?
From my understanding, so I know that USC's have been confirmed as far as that I think that there have been findings from, sorry, I'm making sure I'm reading this right from what USC had, their student government had sent me. For USC, yes, and then based off what I read, is that with the LA Times article, is that there were multiple accusations against the individual at UCLA that made it appear incredibly doubtful that all of it was unsubstantiated. But I know with that in mind, is obviously that's not an investigation, like in its entirety and in its completion. So do you suggest maybe a change of phrasing?
I do. I'd suggest something that condemns the alleged acts
Okay,
as deplorable rather than presuming that.
Can you
all
repeat
three-
that?
Let me correct the language. So it currently says, jointly condemn the deplorable actions of these individuals, and it might be jointly condemn the actions of which or the deplorable actions of which these individuals have been accused.
okay, so I just changed that and told my folks from USC that that's something that they were that we are changing, at least with our statement. Sorry, 1 second. Okay, so I changed that, and thank you, Dr. Geller, for bringing that up too, because that's a good thing to note before an investigation's like concluded as well. Other questions or comments about this? And Mahika, just to bring up what you were saying, is USC has like a, I forget the exact like position name, but it's a wellness and like diversity officer that, like from my understanding of their government, operates very similarly to like SWC here. And definitely think that you should, if you haven't already, be connected to them.
Wait, what are they called?
It's like equity and wellness.
Every time I try to find other SWCs on other campuses, it's like disgustingly difficult.
Let me, I can get you it right now.
Okay, thank you so much.
No problem. Let's see. Okay, so the person's name is Jeffrey Cho. So Jeffrey and then space CHO. I'm trying to find their. Yeah, it's something like equity and wellness. 1 second, what? Regardless, I think that like based off the work that they've been telling me they're doing is something that I think you definitely should connect with them on. Especially just given the work that your office does with these sorts of like, it tackles these sort of institutional issues. So I definitely like want to connect y'all if that's possible at some point.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm Facebook stalking Jeffrey, so. Okay, cool, thank you.
Any other comments or questions about this? Anybody? Okay, if there's not any comment or question, then like just similarly to a resolution, because like I think it would be really powerful if this was an all council thing and not just like an office of the president thing, if we like moved into a motion and a vote, which is why it's like an action item. So it would be like, I motion to approve the statement, the shared statement on campus sexual assault.
I motion to approve the SPDCLA joint statement on sexual assault.
I second.
As amended.
Okay, I'll do Tara. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Kim, 5, 6. Okay, 6. By a motion of 6 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and the joint statement is approved. Yeah, thank you all for working with me on that last minute. This was something like we really tried to pull together. And I think it's like a super powerful statement. I don't know if you all read it, but like, all of our governments combined, the GSA and the USA of both of our schools represent over 90,000 students. So I think this is like a super, positive outcome of making a resolution against such actions and making sure we're holding administration accountable to be transparent about, these issues. So thank you all for that. And I'll keep you updated on how that moves forward too, because I know this is like just the beginning of this conversation. So with that, I think, OSAC, and then I think that's it for tonight. Lily.
Yeah, did everyone get the spreadsheet from Julia? Jessica?
Jessica?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, did you get the spreadsheet? Or did you send it to everybody?
I think I shared it with you.
Okay.
Is there a way you can drop the link in,
Yeah, I'll
or
drop it
maybe
in
I
the
should
chat.
drop the link? I'm gonna just do that real quick.
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay.
I'm putting it in our group meeting,
Thank you.
so if you have this spreadsheet open, these are the current allocations that have been made. There are vacancies. So there are 5 offices and 8 lockers that are vacant. So what I decided to do is extend the application period and fill those on a rolling basis, giving priority to those who have submitted the paperwork on time and did the whole application process. I also want to go ahead and approve these by council so that groups can start moving in. Multiple groups have messaged me about like needing access to their offices, because they were under the impression that they would be getting them soon, so it's, yeah. So I just want to approve the ones that are on the list as is, and then as we get more applications, I will fill those and reapprove it by council. Does that make sense?
So Lily, would this just be like a motion tonight to say like, I motion to approve the current OSAC allocations?
Yeah, like I motion to approve OSAC allocations.
I motion to approve OSAC allocations.
Can you guys second?
I second.
Okay, sweet. So Mahika motions, Kalachi seconds. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, all against, all abstaining. By motion of 6 to 0 to 0, the motion passes and OSAC allocations are approved. Thank you, Lily. Okay, so with that, I think we are done. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up last minute because we won't be seeing each other for 2 weeks? Okay, I will have a CRC appointment for you all in 2 weeks. I also will have judicial board appointments for you in 2 weeks. So prepare for a long online council meeting, so we can get these appointments, through easily and have a fresh start to fall quarter.
Yeah, I have a question. Like,
Yeah.
do we have any updates from Tayana about how the, election board appointments are going?
I haven't heard from her since she publicized her application. I'll reach out to her, right now and ask her and message you all about that. That's a good thing to bring up. Okay. Yeah, but she does have until, I think we set a deadline of July 1st. So.
Next meeting.
Can I also ask about, like, we're supposed to have a retreat apparently, right? Like, is there any word as to when that is, or that thing that you mentioned, Robert, about us seeing other councils, like when those are?
Okay, so Kim is in charge of our retreat, so Kim, you can take that away if you want.
Well, this is what y'all schedules are, so I was thinking like after week 0 or week 1.
Definitely like, that's the next meeting, like, as to you'll know when it's having like its retreat, so I can let you know. So like, it was really good, like.
CSC are always in week 1.
Robert, when was this, the past council retreat?
So the past council's retreat was week 3 weekend.
Alright.
It worked pretty well. I mean, I think everybody except one council member could go. I want to say it was Kat who couldn't go.
Cat has week 3.
Yeah, so
Like it's on-
if there's a way to make it so all of us can go, obviously that's preferred. Kim, what I recommend is like obviously like a doodle poll or something where people can, or like your time or whatever. That's what we did and it worked really well. So hopefully we find a time where we can all do it. Usually it's just like an overnight trip to like Airbnb or something. It can be shorter, it can be longer.
I'm
I will
not
say
trying to
this.
have week 1, I turned 21 then.
Okay, I will say this too, is that like the less money we spend on the retreat, the more of that money, and this was something council brought up last year, is that like we can divert towards other things that like might be more, useful towards campus. Obviously I think a retreat is important. That's just something to keep in mind though, is that we have a really large budget for a retreat. And we don't have to spend it all.
How much is our budget and where does it come from?
Jessica knows the exact number. I think it's around $4,000.
For one night?
Wow.
So I don't know the
When
numbers
do we
yet, because I
oversee-
haven't seen the budget for, next fiscal year, but what you can do is you go on the USAC website, you can look at the current budget report, and you can find the account for retreats, USAC retreats, and you can see how much was allocated for this past year. And it'll probably be something around the same for next year.
So it's combined with 2 things. So, and Jessica, please correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding is the budget that we have for the retreat is also combined with the transitioning ceremony that we had in like the Kirkhoff.
They should be separate.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
And historically, not including this past year, retreat was actually 2 nights. It would start in the afternoon on a Friday with an on-campus partial day session, including administrators. There would be a Friday evening dinner somewhere relatively local, after which the students would retire to whatever location had been retained and stay there until mid-morning on Sunday. Last year, with schedule challenges, it was held later. It was usually done at the end of summer rather than after fall quarter started. And it was also shortened to the single night, with the day with administrators taken off to accommodate the schedules of those who were on council last year. So you have some choices to make about what you'd like to do. You have some flexibility.
Does anybody else have any questions about that?
I would be more than happy to take any idea.
Awesome.
Are you still looking for Airbnbs? I would love to be involved in the search.
Yeah, I picked the latest Airbnb for our radio retreat, but it's in Jock Grocery, so it's far.
I was, not to plug hype myself up, I totally hyped myself up. I was a really good staff at SWC, so it's just like without all of the fun retreat stuff. Actually, I love that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not surprised, but I think
it's
it's
like a
for a
big
video.
But my other question, Robert, was that thing that you talked about with us, like meeting all the
Yes.
other students, like what's that?
Yeah, so that's the Shared Governance Symposium. So UCLA is hosting it for fall. I would prefer that happened earlier rather than later because most of the student governments across Southern California start obviously much earlier than us, and want to have it earlier on in their quarters or their semester/quarters as well. So that will also probably be either the end of week 2 or the end of week 3, depending on when we do the retreat. So that is something we need to coordinate together. And that's a really good point, Fletchy, is that let's definitely not plan to have both on the same weekend. It will be a weekend though, and I'm right now gonna like just shoot my shot and say that it's gonna be the week 2 weekend. It could change. I will keep you all updated on that. But yeah, please keep that in mind too, because that's like a really awesome opportunity to, for example, meet your like SWC at USC, and like other officers.
We all know it's
Shoot your shot with your student government counterparts. So, I will keep you all updated on that. I have like an incredible director, Catherine Chin, who's like working on this whole thing with and like trying to plan it, and we'll eventually be talking to ASUCLA about coordinating it. So please keep your like Saturday or Sunday week 2 if you haven't already free. That could change though, and I'll keep you all updated.
So that's just like a 1-day thing, it's not like a weekend long, like conference type of thing?
Yeah, it's just a 1-day thing, like early morning to like 4 or 5 in the afternoon.
Let's just have that be a part of our retreat then.
Honestly, we could do like a Friday to Saturday, Sunday, the symposium type of thing.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
And we're also thinking about, this hasn't been confirmed yet, but the USC student government had reached out to me and said that they were thinking about potentially including the graduate student associations within this shared governance symposium fall quarter too. So our GSA and their GSA and Pitzer's GSA, Occidental's GSA, the University of California, San Diego, Eleanor, she wants her student government to be involved, UC Irvine. So we want this to be like a really, LMU, we reached out to, so.
I can text, the president of LMU is my really good friend's partner.
Awesome.
So,
Okay, that would be helpful.
We're like BFFs. I'll hit him up.
Okay.
Who comes to this symposium? Like, is it a statewide, regional, like, who's who?
Regional, so it's it's the Southern Californian Shared Governance Symposium, so every school in Southern California who can make it makes it. So we're one of the 4 like founding institutions though, so this was like created with me, the president of USC, the president of Occidental, and the president of Pitzer last year. Those are like the 4 main entities, but then a bunch of like others also we invite and encourage to come out as well. So, like, we're trying to get basically as many universities are in Southern California out to this shared governance symposium. And I think they're, like, Eleanor from UCSD definitely, like, is excited about this. UCSD hasn't participated yet, so, like, it's good that we're getting other universities that have participated already on board. But, it's student government, so basically, they're
What was that?
That sounded so ugly.
Ooh, what noise was it?
Sounded like a.
What?
Became a Muppet.
You sounded like, it was just not it.
I didn't hear anything.
That's where you sound like a human. It was like.
It came from my thing?
It's like echoing. It was horrible.
I don't know what it sounded like. I'm gonna watch the USAC live on YouTube and hear it. So I'm excited to hear it. Okay.
All right, I'm done.
Any other questions?
A motion to adjourn, do we?
No, we're adjourning at 8:35 p.m. No good in welfare. Peace out, y'all.